What do you mean the rank season ends 2 days after this video comes out? So we're doing something a little different than usual today. We're making a tier list. Now, you see these all the time, right? Every YuGiTuber, they're always about their tier list. Best hand trap, best deck, best format, best, I don't know, master pack. That someone's probably made that already. You can look it up. It's probably there on YouTube. But what I decided to do here today is because I am very into the Rush Duel, that we'll be making a tier list of the current Rush Duel decks. So I have our categories, the usual S, A, B, C, D. But I have a little extra one down here called Potential. The potential decks are decks that, like, how do I put it? They're not there yet. It's kind of like, so we have a bunch of these down here that don't really have a standout skill. They don't have a character that they kind of go along with in some cases, and it's just kind of like, these cards are playable, they're okay, but they don't do enough where in a deck where they have a similar situation, a skill kind of puts them up to a higher tier. So let's get started. I'm gonna, obviously you can just skip to the end if you want to see my entire list. Watch the video if you want to hear my opinions. Alright, so let's start with the first deck behind Snow's little head here. And we have the Red Eyes Black Dragon. Now, you might have forgotten that this was a deck that was put into the game. I certainly forgot it was a deck and had to remake my tier list to include it, but let's get this out of the way. D. Red Eyes gets a D because Blue Eyes gets an A. Now, that's not just a bit. The reason I put these two decks on the tier list at the same time in the same sentence is because they functionally do the same thing. The Red Eyes skill is virtually identical to the Blue Eyes skill, but worse. Kaiba Men's just a way better special summon card than the Red Eyes Black Chick. It's unfortunate, but Joey keeps losing, Kaiba keeps winning. I don't design the cards, I'm just ranking them. And now, why am I ranking Blue Eyes A though? Let's talk about this since we have more of a conversation here. My A tier, the deck has to be playable, deck has to be competitive viable, which is another reason why Red Eyes is in D, because it is not competitively viable, and the deck has to actually be able to win games with the auto battler in the overworld. And Blue Eyes is great at that. The Blue Eyes Rain is not mission critical, so the AI won't mess up using it. It's just a great skill. You haven't really experienced the low ranks if you haven't just had the opponent turbo out 2 Blue Eyes and just beat you down. Also, it's gonna be highly represented. The deck, it's A, it's not S, it's A. Also because it is kind of really cheap. 3 structure decks, you're done. There's some builds, of course, there's build variants, but you can just play 3 structure decks and you just have the deck. So that's why I'm giving it an A. Our next deck, why don't we look at Royal Rebels? Royal Rebels, when I had first got into Rush Duel, like I got into Rush Duel on release, but I kind of fell off with the Duel Links kind of loop, the grind and all that stuff right before Royal Rebels came out, and I just recently got back in the other month. So I was kind of hesitant about where I'd end up putting this deck because I also just have never seen it. I've been playing ranked, I just haven't seen it. So I did my own research before making this video, and that's a C. That deck's a C. In its current form, it's a C. It's got these weird bits and bobs of the effects where you kind of want your opponent to be set up in a way where it's like you did nothing for like 2 turns and just like stalled yourself from not dying, and then you just go, oh, alright, wipe the board and let's punch. Kind of like a blind second deck, but you can't really blind second in Rush Duel. It's strange. It doesn't work very well against the better decks. I'd give it a high C. The cards do good things, it's just not great. That's why it's in C. And let's look at something that has some potential. Dinosaur. So when I was rambling about things not really having a set skill, Dino is what was on my mind. There are a lot of like Dino cards. They have a max card already, they have really strong cards you can get out of the ranked tickets, but it's a deck that lacks a skill. People who play it play like Hammer Crush. That's not good. You could be like, alright, am I gonna play the deck with Hammer Crush? Or am I gonna play Blue Eyes? You know? It's cool, Dino's cool, but it's not there. The Max Monster's really cool. Our little Tyrannosaurus guy down here, who I used as the marker for the deck, he's pretty cool. It's just not there. It's just not there yet. Moving on, we got the Thunder deck. Now I'm putting the Thunder deck in C. The original structure that came out when Rush Duel first came to Duel Links wasn't really anything special. It didn't really do much. There was like, I think Dragon Casters wanted some of the cards that were in there, so you just bought the structure deck to have those. It's kind of mid. It's just kind of mid. It does a similar thing to everything else, but doesn't have its own like straight identity. So it's just kind of in the middle. There were some new cards released for Thunder in the new box, but as of a recording, that literally released today. And I didn't want to throw Thunder in potential because there's already so many Thunder cards in the game. You can already find Thunder decks on ranked. They just aren't great. Maybe the new cards in the box are going to change everything, but I don't think so. So it gets a C. It's weaker than Royal Rebel, but still C. And it's definitely above Red Eyes, which is why it's not in D. Okay. Bubble Era. I have nothing to say about Bubble Era, to be honest. The deck just doesn't win games. It just doesn't win. Its strategy is just poor. I'd put it below Red Eyes in bad. It's got a good engine. It's got a good resource loop engine. Listen, I mentioned Blue Eyes, like side engines, you know, different builds. I mean, the Bubble Era engine of the horse and the vanilla, they go really well in Blue Eyes as your tribute resource loop engine. So maybe that can earn them an honorary spot above Red Eyes. Maybe, just because their cards can be used in a better deck. But yeah, that's where that goes for now. Why don't we slap down our first S tier deck? That is Maximum Overload. This deck is insane. If you don't know what this is, just imagine a deck where you can just throw down Seven's Road Magician for free and debuff the opponent. It's crazy. So it's a mix of spellcasters and machines to just create this insanely oppressive deck with these crazy hard pushes that just, you don't see it coming. You can't see it coming. So let's do a little example. You load up ranked. You're playing YuGiOh, because of course, most of the decks you play YuGiOh. Your opponent, they're playing YuGiOh. You go, alright, I set my cards face down. Pass it to the opponent. The opponent goes, alright, Maximum Overload. Pitch a Max Monster. Set him a card, flip it. Seven's Road animation plays. Holy crap, you don't know what's going on. They summon a normal guy, Torna. And they just flip your guy, punch you in the face for a massive amount of damage. Seeing is believing. You should check out gameplay of the Maximum Overload deck to truly see how crazy it is. It's not tier 0. I would have a 0 tier if I thought a deck was tier 0. It's not tier 0. There is another S tier deck, okay? But I personally believe it's one of the best decks in the game right now. And it's probably only going to get stronger if better spellcasters are printed. It's already crazy. It just takes all the good spellcaster cards from spellcaster and makes them better. Speaking of spellcaster, just for that reason, gets a C. I would put it, why does it get a C? Because the spellcaster cards are really good, but they're better in a better deck. So it's kind of like Bubble Era, except spellcaster can wipe the floor with Bubble Era every day of the week. Like, the old Dragon Casters, they played like fine. It was okay. That was the best deck when Rush Duel first released. But now the pure spellcasters, or if you go back to Dragon Casters, it's just kind of mid. It's mid, but you are steps away from just playing the literal best deck. You just go Maximum Overload. Come on, you can do it. I believe in you. If you're still playing Dragoncaster, I believe in you. You can play the best deck. I truly believe in you. So speaking of Dragoncaster, we've got this little picture of YuGiOh down here. Now you might be thinking, well, if the spellcasters represents both the spellcasters and Dragoncasters, what is YuGiOh? Well, YuGiOh, in this example, is aggro. It's just an aggro in general. There's no real set in stone aggro deck. It's just, YuGiOh is gonna be in there, which is why his image represents aggro on this list. And it's B tier because you can win games. It's pretty good, but it's not a set deck. So because it's so malleable, it's all mashable, it doesn't have all the synergies of a Maximum Overload. It doesn't have all the synergies of a Blue Eyes, for another like aggro dragon deck example. But it's still really good. YuGiOh is still really good, which is why he alone kind of drags dragons to be. You might notice this card at the end here. We've got the new deck that came out in the box today, the Constructor. It goes in potential. It's out now. There'll probably be more builds out and about when this video actually goes up on YouTube. As it is at the moment, it's just not there. It's not that we don't have the right build yet. It's just missing that. It's just missing the key factor that's going to put the deck together. I think the cards as they are right now do have A tier potential. Keyword is potential, so it goes in potential instead of A tier. Okay, maybe I'll be proven wrong, but I think the deck's going to be good. It's just not put together yet. Basically, let's do another A tier strategy, and that's Harpies. Harpies are insane. They are a deck that, how do I put it? So Harpies as a deck, first of all, is free to play. You can get a Harpy deck for literally free. You just gotta play the game, and you just get it. It's crazy. You get all the skills, all the cards, all the main cards. They're there. The rest of the cards, low rarity in a box. You can start building Maximum Overload, and you'll just get the Harpy deck on accident. Think about that. That's pretty crazy. An overly aggressive opponent can just be surprised out of nowhere with a Harpy's pet dragon that just gets pumped over 5k. It's kind of a white woman jump scare, to be honest. Harpy being the white woman, obviously. So Harpies also gets A tier because you're going to see it a lot. It's free to play. Like I said, I'm stressing it's free to play. If you're watching this video trying to find a deck, it's free to play. Let me stress that to you again. Free to play. You can just get it. You're going toe to toe with the best decks in the game, holding your own, sometimes winning, and the cards that beat you beat them too. It's a great place to be for a free to play deck. Now let's cap off our potential category with the last deck for potential psychics. So I wanted to put psychics higher. I didn't want to put them in potential because I built psychics. I thought the deck was really cool. Being able to loop this card specifically, I thought was really interesting. The Candy Psychics is cool. The Guitar Turbo, that's pretty cool. But it's not gonna win you a lot of ranked games. It loses really hard to more aggressive decks like Maximum Overload, like Blue Eyes, like Harpy, like Aggro, like Spellcasters. Their monsters are small. They're just inherently small. You pump them on your turn. Mandatory to see Candy if you're playing the Candy version. You're paying life points. Your health is always low, and you can just get surprise OTK'd by these 4 top decks right there. But there are future psychic cards. I didn't want to get into like cards that aren't released or aren't even known if they're coming. Like, because I'm not talking leaks. I'm just talking about, you go on Duel Links meta, you type psychic into the search, you look at all the future Candy cards, you look at all the other future psychic cards, and there are some really cool things there. No idea when those are coming. Those are cool. It could be 2 years from now. And psychics will just sit there in potential until those 2 years pass and we get those cards. Unfortunately, their good cards are fusion monsters. We don't have the extra deck yet. Who knows when it's coming? Our next deck, I'm going to put in Cybers to A tier. This is the only high tier deck I haven't actually tried out for myself. I didn't really see what made this deck good in looking up the cards. I looked at deck lists, I looked at gameplay. I lost to this deck a whole bunch, and that's why it's an A tier. I don't understand what makes it good. I can't tell. I can't see it. I don't know what I'm losing to, really. I just, they put the max monster down at a point where I can't do anything, and I'm like, well, I just lose because the max monster's on field. But that's not all the deck does. I don't get the rest. That's just the common situation in which I lose. And it does have tournament results. It's one of the top decks on Duel Links meta, so other people's kind of like rapport with the deck is what earned it the spot on the list. So we're down to our last deck. We've got Light Machine, and my placement of it might be a little unpopular, but I think it's the best deck in Rush Duels. It's the best deck in Rush Duels. Sorry to say, it's the best deck in Rush Duel. Light Machine it has all the right tools that tick my brain in a good way, which is why I have to rate it the highest. I was going on about how great Maximum Overload is, and it is great, but it's not unbeatable. It's not oppressive. It's not tier 0. It can lose to any of these decks. A Light Machine. It's not tier 0. There would be a 0 tier if it was. It's fun. It has every tool you could possibly want. I just love Light Machine. It's definitely S tier. Okay, let's put the jokes aside. Light Machine is 100% S tier. It's the second best deck along with Maximum Overload. They're not 1 and 2. They're 1 and 1 basically. They're both insane, but they're not unbeatable. I just love Light Machine. I just love the way it plays. The skill. Oh my god. Grabbing an Aim Eagle when the opponent pushes, and it's just amazing. Aim Eagle is such a fun card. The skill, just adding Aim Eagle if you just need the card to summon off Aim Eagle, and then you can just grab Aim Eagle from the deck with the skill. It's so much fun. Being able to pump a Mirror Innovator to over 5,000 in one big combo. It's peak. I'm sorry. Watch my videos. Watch my videos of the Rush Ranked. It's peak gameplay. It's an insane deck. It's crazy. It's fun. I think it's more fun than Maximum Overload, which is why I'm putting it, ahead of Maximum Overload list. Yapping. I'm gonna cut out most of it. 5 minutes. 5 minutes I've just been yapping about Light Machine and just repeating myself, going in circles, just because I want to say Light Machine is so good. It's a little on the expensive side because you need to go into like 3 boxes to get the best build and buy a bunch of the special packs, which it's Duel Links. They're still gonna be greedy, but I digress. I'm giving it the highest spot. I love both these decks. I think they're both very good. Okay, so after cutting out about a bunch of my yapping about Light Machine, we're gonna wrap this video up. Thank you to everyone who watched. If you disagree with me, put a comment in the comments. If you agree with me, put a comment in the comments. If you think there's a deck I missed that should be included, leave a comment in the comments. If you would like to see more talky videos like this about Rush Duels, leave a comment in the comments. If you would like to see more talky videos like this about regular Yu-Gi-Oh, leave a comment in the comments. If you would like to see more videos like this, in any case, if you watch this video, thank you for watching. I will talk to you next time. Goodbye.